2, 1. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, time is the only currency you can never earn, so we must learn to spend it wisely. The interesting thing about time is that it only moves in one direction, obviously, and it's also the ultimate equalizer. Whether you are rich or poor, whether you are happy or sad, whether you are famous or not famous, it is the common denominator that every single living being in this world shares. That is to say, it affects us all equally. And if side proposition wants to talk about the rat race, it's only when you realize time as valuable and scarce that you understand the opportunity cost of it. What that means is you cannot be everywhere and doing everything at once. You need to be able to identify and choose the limited things that you want to do. Because if we're lucky, we only have 70 or 80 years of life. Half of that's productive. And it's only through realizing it as a commodity that we're able to make an informed choice in terms of staying in the rat race, because we believe that it's quite important to us and we're willing to sacrifice touching grass, hobbies, family time, vacation because we value more. Or on the converse, if you realize that that's kind of bullshit because it won't lead to the happiness, then you can choose to be able to leave. Even if your economic conditions decline, at least you're able to unlock that time which you can spend in other ways. This debate is more than just the categorical and mathematical use of time, but ultimately where humanity can be fulfilled, happy, cherish what really matters, and ultimately not regret things when we're old or when we're at the latter part of our life. A few strategic observations of Top Half Clash. Number one, opening government calls out a problem they don't solve in their counterfactual. They talk about the valuation of labor. But the thing is, these other extraneous factors like what's dictated by the birth lottery are gonna continue being there. The rich CEO will be there because of connections, nepotism, money, or the fact that he worked hard or maybe got lucky. The janitor will continue to be a janitor, whether he likes it or not. But the thing is, when both these parties are able to realize the value of time, when we uniquely look at it through the lens of a commodity as something scarce, as something that has an opportunity cost, these stakeholders are able to make an informed decision. Meaning, like what I mentioned in my pre-oration, that CEO, when they realize that, oh my gosh, I've been working this hard for this money, they can have an inflection point and decide, do I want to continue this because from Maslow's hierarchy and in terms of wanting to forward maybe my legacy, then I'll continue to sacrifice that time for stability for my family. Or in instances where he feels the harms of that because his wife left him or the kids don't like him anymore, etc., then he can decide and realize that, yikes, I sacrificed all of these things for something that wasn't truly valued by these people I'm supposed to care about. Or on the contrary, let's talk about those who are poor, something that Top Half seems to really care about. That janitor can be able to exercise agency and self-determination when they're able to realize that I am more than my work. I am more than the productivity or output that I have because time is scarce. Meaning, am I gonna slave away and toil for getting minimum wage? Or even if opening opposition says I get overtime, am I going to slave away at that only to not be able to spend time with my family? And that's where that janitor guy can look at the CEO and be like, bro, I might not have the same car as you, I might not live in the same place as you, but ultimately, I'm still able to understand how I can use my time and maybe quit that job and take a risk, like start a small business, be able to moonlight and work multiple jobs if it means being happy or it means being able to spend time with my family and those who I care about. I'll take the POI, whoever raised it. Go.
Yeah. So is it the janitor forced to give up the time he would do to explore his individualism because of the competitive job market that is demanding time from him as a commodity?
Obviously, on both sides, we use time as a resource. But uniquely, what that janitor is able to unlock when he realizes that time is scarce is when he's able to understand that, hey, I'm working this hard, I get overtime, but in instances where it's not going to be worth it, and I rather not be as rich as that CEO and be happy while I can still continue to spend time with my family. Or on the converse, right? If he's really selfless and wants to work hard, then he can do things like be able to get multiple jobs, maybe study at night to be able to get the degree that he was unable to do. Uniquely, and this is what makes us different from opening, are uniquely the tie back and the missing links and impacting. Because Top Half talked about random stuff like overtime, talked about workers' rights. But we have to ground this debate and understand, what is it really about? The so what question. And this is really all about cherishing what matters, understanding that things outside money do matter. And the irony is that you can only uniquely unlock that insight when you realize that time is scarce and valuable. No matter how rich you are, no matter how handsome you are, no matter how charming you are, you can't persuade life to be able to give you more because of the birth lottery, something that uniquely we're able to give more context and understanding to, specifically when we're able to look at it as a commodity. And this is something maybe that our opening hinted at when they gave you certain mechanisms. But the impacting and the middle analysis to be able to weigh this comparative versus side proposition is we're able to solve their problem for them. I understand it's about quality and not quantity. But ironically, the only way to unlock that insight is by understanding the scarcity of time, the opportunity cost of that, and most importantly, making an informed decision. Because sure, we're not saying everyone's gonna be like, yeah, fuck, we'll just all not work, etc. There are gonna be some people who are gonna be workaholic, and there are some people who are gonna continue slave away because they put money, they put value, they put material well-being as a ultimate good compared to other things. At least these people are cognizant when they make that decision. And on the converse, other people who choose to do that, society won't label them a loser or a quitter. People realize, respect, bro, you might not be as financially capable, but you're able to do the things you love with the people who matter. Ladies and gentlemen, more than just the temporal nature of time, this is ultimately about having less regret, ultimately about cherishing what matters, and ultimately exercising our agency and determination to live the best life possible. Very proud to stand on side Neg. Thank you.